First, I want to wish you all a happy 4th of July, whether you're here in the United States or whether you live abroad. I just want to wish you all the best from everybody here at the MeidasTouch Network. You know, what President Biden said yesterday on a conference call when he was staying in the race, this is what he said. Let me say this as clearly as I possibly can, as simply and straightforward as I can. I am running. No one's pushing me out. I'm not leaving. I'm in this race to the end, and we are going to win. You know, when corporate media started attacking him over and over again post-debate, I mean, they were attacking him all the time before the debate as well. And as I noticed, a number of people who were, putting, I think, pretty outrageous statements out there against him. I mean, look, we came out very clearly after the debate and said he had a very bad debate performance. It was not good at all. We also said that Donald Trump behaved like a total maniac. I'm not going to rehash everything we said there, but as I started to see this kind of effort to try to force him out after all the good he did for our country and all the good he's done for our country, it made me very frustrated, but not panicked. It made me want to double down on the data and focus this conversation where it really needs to be focused on, which are the facts. What has President Biden done for this country? What is he telling us he's going to do for this country? And comparing that to what has Donald Trump done for the country? How has he harmed the country? And what is he saying that he is going to do when he says he wants to be a dictator, when he says that he wants to overthrow our democracy, when he says he wants to support our enemies and he wants to uplift people like Vladimir Putin, Kim Jong-un, and others. And what does that mean internationally? And I know how many international supporters we have here at the MeidasTouch Network as well. Yes, MeidasTouch exists here in the United States, but this is a global pro-democracy movement. And it is clear that there is an assault on democracy generally by fascists and fascist threats abroad, and authoritarian strongmen that want to try to topple and take down democracies abroad. So I thought it was very important to put out a video in the thick of everything that was going on. And I posted it originally on our Patreon. We have patreon.com/MeidasTouch. We don't have outside investors here at the MeidasTouch Network, so one of the ways we've grown this platform is through the emojis that you see sometimes on the live chats, our pro-democracy sponsors, but also one of the big ways we grow is patreon.com/MeidasTouch, where we have exclusive content, we have live we have exclusive Zoom meetings, and we have some other great stuff there as well that you can check out. So I posted, though, on our Patreon a video about how I was feeling at that time. And I let people know, look, I could recognize that President Biden had a bad debate performance. But I said, look, I'm not panicked at all. I'm focused on the data. I'm focused on what it is we can do. And I didn't only want to be prescriptive. Rather, I didn't only want to be descriptive, I wanted to be prescriptive as well and talk about what we can do together in this pro-democracy community. And I saw the overwhelming responses that we got back after we posted that on Patreon. And lots of people said, hey, Ben, there may be some people who aren't able to join this Patreon, but can you post that message? Can you share that message with others who maybe don't have access to Patreon? And so I said, sure, absolutely. So I want to share with you the message that we put out on our Patreon, and we do after shows like this. There's a lot of exclusive content on Patreon. So if you like this channel, you want to support its growth, sign up at patreon.com/MeidasTouch. But here was the message that we posted a few days back when all the media was trying to force President Biden out. Here's what we put out. And I'll leave you with this too before I just press play on this, because I think you really want to watch this. It's great. I've got a lot of great feedback from it, though, is the following. At the MeidasTouch Network, it's not necessarily or at all about supporting a political party or a specific politician or like a person. That doesn't really excite me. What excites me is supporting principles and values, and strongly supporting those principles and values. So we're talking about pro-democracy, we're talking about compassion and decency and supporting our fellow human beings and trying to build a better world, replacing hate with love. Those are the things that are most important. And then solving problems together, protecting our freedoms, lowering healthcare costs, making healthcare accessible, education accessible, ensuring that wages for hardworking people increase, that people can afford homes, that people can go out with their families and earn and have a job with dignity, and not just benefits for the deca billionaires, that women can control their bodies, that women have the final say and the only say over their reproductive rights, and that it's not taken away by MAGA Republicans and their agenda. We don't want, we want to live in a compassionate and decent world and society that supports democracy. That's what's most important. So if candidates, regardless of their label, whatever they are, meet us with those principles and values, that's to me one of the most important things. So, and President Biden meets us there. And if there are Republicans who meet us there, great. And if there are independents who meet us there, great. And whatever political parties make, great. Meet us in the place of principles and values of democracy, compassion, love, facts, intelligence. That's where we want the politicians to meet us, not us chasing around politicians. And this MAGA movement is the exact opposite of everything we stand for. It's why we don't both sides the issue, where they're talking about wanting kings and wannabe authoritarians and supporting Putin and Kim Jong-un, and Donald Trump saying he wants to be a dictator, and the way Donald Trump curses all of the times and demeans and mocks the disabled and mocks veterans and tries to take down and attack marginalized groups and denies the existence of climate change. I can't both sides that. That's not what we do on this meeting. I can't go, well, on the other side, they think that. No, what they think is whatever Trump tells them to think. And I'm not okay with that. I'm not cool with that at all. It's a real big problem that threatens our survival as a country. And it's a reflection that I make on the 4th of July. So let me show you what I posted on Patreon. Tell me what you think. If you want to subscribe to it, patreon.com/MeidasTouch. Join it. Tell me what you think of what we posted there. I'm going to play it for you now. Here it is. Hey, legal AFers, just wanted to have this pep talk with us. And I want you all to know that I still feel very, very confident about the state of our democracy, even with all of these challenges. And when I confront challenges, I like to look at all of the data that exists, and I like to think productively, what can we do? What can the legal AF community do? What could the MeidasMighty do? How do we go forward together, and how do we build this pro-democracy coalition where we respect law and order, we preserve, protect, and defend our democracy, and we make sure that truth and democracy and love and compassion prevail. And I think that one thing that we should all reflect upon is that we're in July. We still have all of July. We still have all of August. We have all of September. We have all of October. Then we have a few days in November. And so the question that we need to ask ourselves is, what can we do each and every day that we can control? What can we, the people, control right now? And it's okay that we can feel upset or let down at the judicial system or infuriated by the Supreme Court. But what I want you all to remember is what history teaches us. And history teaches us that what fascism relies on to seize power is that the majority of the population will feel helpless. will feel that their agency doesn't exist and that no matter what we do, fascism is going to take over. That's why you see, whether it's Germany with Adolf Hitler, whether it is Saddam Hussein and the Ba'ath Party, whether it's Iran and the Shah being overturned by the Ayatollah and what went down there, and the Iranian Revolution, when you go through other historical examples, just Mussolini in Italy, and you say, how did these things happen? Or one of the things that always exists or frequently exists is that there's a rule by a smaller group, 25, 30%, and the majority just gives up, taps out eventually. And that could be from panic. It could be from fear. It could be for a lot of reasons. And then the minority solidifies their control and tries to take over all of the legal apparatus. So obviously with the United States Supreme Court and the right-wing justices, that's what they are attempting to do. That's what they're trying to do. But what I want you all to remember, what I think is critical that you remember, is that the MAGA movement is about 30% of the country, 35% of the country max. There is probably another 35 to 40% of the country that is pro-democracy and very, very focused on the issues. Say it's 35%. Say there's 35% ultra pro-democracy, 35% ultra MAGA. That leaves also about 30% of the population that isn't paying attention for whatever the reasons are. But ultimately, where they align with is normalcy and compassion, and they want to spend time with their families, and they just want to go about their job and earn the wages for their hard work, and they don't want to pay exorbitant healthcare costs, and they want to provide for an incredible future for their kids and their grandkids and their family. And so going back to what I said, it's like, what can we, the people, like what can we control every day? Obviously, if we're going to sit back and wait for corporate media to do anything, they're not going to. I mean, their ownership structure, their incentive structure is to try to hoist up Donald Trump. They ain't doing anything. So what do we need to do? We need to continue building brick by brick every day this platform, this network. And we need to continue to get out the word to the people. And that's what we do every day. I want you to think about this, that in a 48-hour period, there are more people who watch the MeidasTouch YouTube channel than watch Fox or CNN or MSNBC. So often when I'm asked, well, don't you want to get your stuff on cable? And don't you know, more people are watching now because people want the truth. People want the facts. People want the data. People don't want to live under a fascist regime. So we will keep getting the info out, but that requires work every single day. That's one thing that we can control. One thing that you can control as well is to let people know what's at stake in your life. And it doesn't have to be, shouting matches or yelling. It's very important when I do these hot takes and when I share the information and data, I do it like this. And I try to do it passionately, but through a dispassionate lens in terms of my tone about how we can look through data. And then when I think about what the data actually is, across all metrics and all data, despite the narratives that are pushed, and don't get me wrong, what CNN's pushing, what MSNBC's pushing, the narratives they push is intentional, it's targeted, and it's not based on data. Because if they wanted to base it on data, I'd look at the Reuters Ipsos poll, which shows Biden and Trump tied, and anybody else who all the corporate media is floating to replace Biden as losing to Donald Trump. So What they want to do is try to get us all into a panic and to act in a rash manner, in a way that will actually be harmful versus stepping back and reflecting and looking at the data. If you want to look at the TIP poll, TIPP, Biden up 2 in the most recent TIP poll. I don't think polls are that predictive based on what we saw in the red wave and how wrong the polls have been in primary after primary. But you want to look at another data point. President Biden's raised more money from the actual base of pro-democracy voters after the debate, much more than Donald Trump, much more than Biden's ever raised before, like $120, $150 million, which tells us that the people who understand what we are dealing with right now are motivated and care. And one of the unique things that the Legal AF community brings to the table, and what's so important that you bring to the table, is you know the breakdowns of these rulings. You've studied them now with us. You've learned the rulings. You know how the Supreme Court's defied our Constitution. You know what Judge Cannon's doing. You know what's going on in the various cases. You have the evidence and you have the facts. So it's just important to share the evidence and the facts with people and explain to the people. Explain the disinformation out there. When people say, oh, it's unfair that the same judge who was in Trump's case, Justice Merchan, sentenced Steve Bannon to 4 months. You go, no, that was a Trump-appointed judge. Federal Judge Carl Nichols, who Trump appointed, sentenced Bannon. Justice Merchan had nothing to do with that. That's false. What are you talking about? Things like that, rebut it with the truth and let people know what's up. And I just want you to know it's okay to feel down. It's okay to feel upset. I do want you to know that we here at Legal AF are always going to give you what we think is happening in the case. We're going to let you know the truth. We were not just saying that we thought Trump was going to be convicted in the Manhattan case because we thought that would be good for ratings or that would make you happier. No, we genuinely thought that he was going to be convicted, and he was. Same thing in the E. Jean Carroll case. We followed the evidence. So when we report on what the Supreme Court's doing now, I don't want to sugarcoat it. I don't want to give you the takes. Oh, it's not going to be a big deal. It's not going to matter. I want to tell you the truth. I want to arm you with the data and information so you can see the next steps where this could be headed. And then I also want you to understand the stakes of the election and what the Supreme Court can do to our democracy. So we can not just be descriptive, but we could be prescriptive, and we could build this pro-democracy coalition to make important, beneficial changes. Think about this. If Hillary Clinton would have won, think about our climate, common sense gun reform. Think about where we would be when it comes to stopping securities fraud. Think about where we'd be with expanding access to education, lower prescription drug prices. Think about where people would have a better life, regardless of what political party you are. People's lives would be much better than how Donald Trump set people back. That's just the reality of what things would be like. And so I think it's important that we recognize and reflect on the stakes for our democracy, the stakes for future generations, and it's important that we all reflect where we are right now in this moment in history. It's not always going to be victory after victory, win after win. And there's going to be trying times in this. But one of the things about being part of a community is we could lean on each other. And we could focus on what we can do together to help out. And what we can do is get out the facts, support people who support our democracy, and build this each and every day and get to work. Get to work every single day and put it all out on the field. It's early July. We have the whole month of July, the whole month of August, the whole month of September, the whole month of October. Think about how much can happen in that time period. And especially if we are shoulder to shoulder in this together, what we can accomplish. So it's okay to feel how you're going to feel. I'm not telling you to ignore that. It's great. If you want to take a rest from reading all good. But I want you to know it's important that we then re-engage together right away, soon. Focus right away, maybe just take the 4th to yourself, whatever you want to do. And then let's work very hard every day. I am confident that Trump will lose if we stick together. I'm confident that democracy will prevail. But it's a test of our will, and it's a test I think we'll come together for. Anyway, that's my talk. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 3 million together. Thanks for watching. Oh, it's on Patreon, so we won't get to 3 million. But thanks for being a patron. I appreciate you.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Midas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.